Jaguars looking for a safety net against the Green Bay Packers this weekend. What do you want to happen in this game? We'll talk about it today here on Locked On Jaguars.
You are Locked On Jaguars, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It is your team every day here on Locked On Jaguars. We thank you for making us your first listen. I'm reminding you we can be found everywhere, wherever you listen or watch your podcast. Today's episode is brought to you and sponsored by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. I want to give a special shout out to the everydayers for joining us here every single day. All right, let's get right into it. My name is Tony Wiggins, the host of the Locked On Jaguars podcast. Here's what we're going to discuss today, safety concerns. Yeah, I'm talking about safeties like the guys that play on the field in the middle of the field, which is where it seems Jordan Love thrives with a lot of his wide receivers, his weapons, and his tight ends, even his running backs. If that'll be an Achilles heel for the game this weekend. In the middle of the show, we'll talk about a run or a runoff. It's going to be self-explanatory when I get to it. It's going to be a little funny, but a run or a runoff. It's either going to be the beginning of something or you're going to hope that it's the end of something. And what are you hoping for as a fan? That's where we're going to start and kick off today's show. What are you hoping for? I think fans are always, and I'll say this, I think fans are always optimistic that the team is going to win. I think on game day, what happens on game day is fans just focus on the moment. They get in the moment and they want their team to win. They inherently want the Jacksonville Jaguars to do well because they want to feel good. That's why they go to the game even when the season looks grim. They still show up. They tailgate and they have a good time. They want to see them win. They cheer when they do good things and they feel good about themselves. And all of us, we feel good when the Jaguars win these games. So I can't say that there's a Jaguar fan that goes to the game and wants them to lose. See, there's a micro and a macro here. If they win, it could be the beginning of a run. That would be 2 in a row, 2 consecutive wins, 2 straight wins for the Jacksonville Jaguars, something they haven't done in a long, long time. And this team has made runs before. Everyone has seen it. Andre Cisco, who we'll mention later on in the show, says it seems like they hit their stride or they're having fun again or whatever. It always bewilders me that, like in the Bears game, they weren't having fun. Two weeks ago, they lost Chicago. I think it was like 35-16. They weren't having a good time before the game. I mean, nobody has fun when you're losing, but I don't get, to me, saying you're having fun while you're playing the game is a front runner mentality. And I know I'm just being nitpicky about that, but it just sounds like a front runner mentality. It's like saying it's fun when we're winning and it's not fun when we're losing. The problem is the game isn't won in retrospect. The game is won. The fun should be coming while you're trying to win. Or while you're playing, and even when you lose. Yeah, we had fun. It's not fun after the fact because we didn't succeed. But the whole we're having fun again thing kind of, and maybe I'm overdoing it, or maybe I'm just, playing mental gymnastics with these words or whatever and using semantics here. But it's just hard for me to understand how you didn't come out of the locker room when you're about to play the Bears and think that you were going to have fun. You didn't come out of the locker room in Buffalo and think that it was going to be fun. You can't wait until you lose to decide that you weren't having fun. Like when you go to Vegas, you were having fun, and then you wake up with a hangover the next day, and it's like a real bad hangover. You say, "Oh, I ain't never drinking again." Nobody say, if somebody asks you, "Man, what's wrong?" "Oh, I'm not having fun anymore. I just wasn't having fun." Yeah, you were. You're having too much damn fun. That's why you feel that way. And I think sometimes when the Jaguars play and things don't go their way, they don't play loose and they start getting real tight and they start pressing. And maybe that's what he means. So maybe I've talked myself into believing exactly what he says. Is because when things start going poorly, the fun goes away and then they start thinking too much and then They look like a team. A lot of fans have accused the Jaguars of being the type of team that looks like they don't care, and they've lost the message and lost the coach, and the coach has lost the locker room and all of these things. So I'm just trying to figure out where the fun part comes into it when you're actually doing your job. The fun or no fun seems like that's after the job has been done or hasn't been done good enough. But what do you want? What are you hoping for? And here are your alternatives. You win a game Sunday and hope it means you're going on a run. And then you go to Philly the following week and hope that you can catch them slipping. I will tell you this. If they get to 4-5 and they win consecutive games against Green Bay and Philly, I believe that they can probably play with anybody. And they're going to have to prove that, because then they got Minnesota and Detroit back to back. It's just bad that even if they start playing better, that they put themselves in this situation to try their hardest to get to 9-8. And I don't think 9-8 gets it done this year. If I look around, I don't believe the Chargers might end up being the type of team that is like 9-8 also, or hanging around there. But Kansas City's going to run away with the West, and they'll probably be the only team. Well, Denver's another team. I forgot about them. Denver's been playing okay. Denver may be that kind of 9-win team. And then you look in the North, somebody's going to win the division, Baltimore or Pittsburgh, and then the other one's going to be a very high wild card. And then the Bengals are trying to get themselves together. The Bengals are maybe a week ahead of the Jaguars in the redeeming their season, the season redemption mode. They've won 2 in a row already. So they're where the Jaguars want to try to get to. In the East, I'm trying to figure out a way to put them in the playoffs with 7 teams. Houston's 9 times out of 10 going to win the division. I don't think anybody else in the division is going to do anything, but the Colts are that type of team, even though the Jaguars already beat the Colts. The Colts are that type of team that might end up in the same area record-wise, even if the Jaguars go on a run. In the East, Tua Tagovailoa's coming back. He's going to totally change their team as long as he can stay healthy. If he doesn't stay healthy, they won't make it. Aaron Rodgers and the Jets are about where the Jaguars are right now. Ain't no telling what's going to happen up there. But Buffalo is going to win that division. New England ain't nowhere to be found. I think New England's already in next year. They ain't even still in this season. They're on next season already. That's how bad the Patriots are. So yeah, 9-8 for a third straight year. Does it get them home? Is it enough to keep everybody around? Or Shad said, no, that's about it. 9-8 can be looked at as consistent on one side, but it also can be like that's all you got on the other side. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how the fans act and respond. Now, I'm talking like they're going to win. They might not win. They might get blown out, right? So that's why I wanted to know what you're hoping for, because I'm going to talk about the alternatives. I'm going to talk about the 2 options that you'll see, 2 things that might happen. They're either going to go on the run, or people are going to go ahead and call for an early runoff of the coaching staff. Don't know if Shad will do it, but it'll definitely be on the table. We'll discuss that, a run or a runoff, in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. I don't care if you're late to buying tickets. I don't care if you had to wait until payday. It does not matter. You are never too late to get your tickets for any sporting event when you have the Game Time app. And Game Time actually has a curation process also when you're looking for tickets, and it helps you go all through the stuff and the fluff that you don't even need to get to. I don't care if it's baseball, basketball, football, like all of that is going on right now. But you can talk about monster trucks and plays and theater, all of it. Game Time is the place that you need to be. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code. I'll spell it out for you. LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Today's show is also brought to you and sponsored by Prize Picks. Listen, man, Prize Picks is the absolute truth, man, because you go there and there's 10 million members of Prize Picks and there's billions of dollars awarded, right? But you're not playing against all 10 million members. You're just playing against Prize Picks and their projections. Those stat projections they put up, you just go more or less. That's all you got to do. And if you get between 2 and 6 of them right, guess what, man? You get paid a whole bunch of Skrilla. You get about 4 of them right. Sometimes you can even get up to 100 times your money. And that is absolutely something that you need to do. Just download the Prize Picks app today and use the code Locked On NFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. I'll repeat it again. Download the Prize Picks app today and use the code Locked On NFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. All right, rolling along here on Locked On Jaguars, where it's your team every day. Always thanking you for making us your first listen. Hey, we have to come to the conclusion that nobody knows if or when Shad Khan is going to make changes. No one knows what the extent of those changes are going to be, and no one knows, if they lose or if they get to a certain threshold, if he's going to make a move with the club. I mean, you just don't, right? But it seems like after a preseason where he said this is the most talented Jaguars team ever, he looked me dead in my face when we were having a casual conversation. It wasn't a formal interview, and he said, yeah, now we got to win. And I was mainly talking about the things that he had done, trying to get done with the stadium deal at the time that eventually did get done, and the practice facility. And, and he was like, yeah, we got to win now. And that has been the edict. It feels like there was a video floating around of him talking to the players where he said some things. He said, we're built to win. We need to win right now. And a lot of people thought that was a signal that if we don't win, we're going to change some things. That's what I think it was. However, we have to ask what the definition of winning is, because to some organizations, winning is only about the championship, the Super Bowl. Is it a division? Is it getting to the playoffs? Is it a wild card? What does he consider winning in the context of whether or not he would change teams or change the managers or change the GMs or coaching staff, make wholesale changes to the staff? This game against Green Bay, you'll hear the crossover edition with Packers, Locked On Packers, Peter Bukowski, my guy. You'll hear that tomorrow. One of the things that you probably end up hearing on that is that there's a concern that this is a trap game for Green Bay. Anything can happen in the NFL. I mean, the Patriots beat the Bengals. Yeah, the same Bengals team that probably should have beat the Chiefs went and lost to the Patriots. So, the Ravens lost at home to the Raiders. The same Raiders team that almost beat the Chiefs and probably should have beat them. And that's won 5 in a row. Before they started that 5 in a row, they lost to the Raiders. Anything can happen. And the Jaguars actually have a talented team in terms of in certain spots. I think they have talented edge rushers. I think they have pretty good linebackers, even though the most talented linebacker is not there right now. And Foye Oluokun, he won't play. Brian Thomas Jr. is for real. I like Christian Kirk as a player. I think Evan Ingram has a really, really nice role here with Trevor Lawrence. And I think Trevor Lawrence is pretty good, and both running backs are pretty good. Anton Harrison, the right tackle, is pretty good. If they put it together and play well, they can compete with everybody. In fact, regardless of the fact that they're 2-5, one of the things that I said coming into the season is that I didn't think anybody would blow them out. They've been blown out twice, but I still stand by the reasons that I said that. Is because I think that they're built to compete. I don't think they're built to win a championship, but I think they're built to compete. And there's a lot of things that goes into whether or not they win games. And it seems like they've been on the short end of the stick here for most of the season. They have been, but for a number of reasons, by the way, a plethora of reasons could be pointed at as to why they aren't playing and winning these games. But the main thing is that's not what we're here for today. What we're here for today is to basically discuss whether or not this game is so important that it would either signal them going on a run, or is this the game where it finally breaks and the dam breaks and they decide that Shad has finally had it, and whether he does it now or not, if in his mind he already knows he's going in another direction and lets them finish the season out. I just think that folks, if they win the game, then next week will be the game where folks will then, at what point do you just keep waiting for the ball to drop? At what point is it, or do you stop waiting for it to drop? Do they have to get the 5-5? Do they have to win 3 in a row? Do they got to get above 500? Is it not even based on what their record is? What if they play all these next 5 games and they're really, really close? Well, if they do that and they lose, that means they're going to be 2-10. So I'm pretty sure they get fired. But every week, it seems like there's going to be the goalposts are going to move a little bit. Like, okay, this is going to be the game where they're going to decide whether they're going to let everybody go or not. I guarantee you, if they'd have lost that New England game, some dudes would have had to swim across the Atlantic Ocean to come home. But they won it. They won it in impressive fashion, and they did what they were supposed to do. They beat a horrible team, and they let everybody know that regardless of their record that was identical coming into the game, they are not that. Okay? They're better than that. Started out 10-0, and I was a little bit concerned. I was like, it was 10-0. I said, they're going to fire everybody. They're going to fire them at halftime. But they didn't do that. And what happened was they ended up winning the game pretty impressively and letting you know, no, we ain't them. And now it's to a point where I think every single week we're going to sit here and go, is this the week? Is that the week? Well, I did that in 2020. I did it in 2019 and 2020. I think I did it in 2021 too. But with Urban, it wasn't even just the losing. It was the stuff going on off the field that everybody was, okay, this is the week they get rid of him. All right, this is the week. And it's just an exercise that I believe the Jaguar fans are too familiar with, and they're probably tired of it. In fact, I take the probably away from it and I say Jaguar fans are tired of just moving on to the next thing. That's, at least give us 5 years. 2017, when they made their run with Jacksonville, we had that whole season and maybe half a year the next year, and then everything fell apart. The Jags, not in a long time, even back in the late 90s, where they play well for 2 years and then they wouldn't, and then they play well for 2 years and then they wouldn't, and then you go back up to like 2006, and then you thought it's just constantly, there's never been this sustained competitiveness that you see other teams have. Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Green Bay. It's like there's just this sustained, you can count more bad years. Well, you can count more times on your hand that they've been consistent. In a 10-year period, a lot of those teams I mentioned, they may have had one bad season, at the most 2, and 8 of them were competitive. The Jaguars, it's the flip side. You look over a 15-year period, and there's like 2 years in there where you can it's something that you can be proud of, maybe 3. But more over the last 10 years, it's just been 2 seasons. So the key is this game is just like every other game. It's either going to be the beginning of hope, or this is going to be the end of it. And people are just going to be wondering when it's actually going to happen. One of the things that's going to be critical to this weekend is the play of the safeties in the middle of the field. That's Andre Cisco. That's Antonio Johnson, Darnell Savage. Those are the guys that they have out there on the field. Green Bay will destroy you in those areas with all of those wide receivers, whether it be Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, Dontavius Wicks, Romeo Dubes or Dowds, and then they have Tucker Kraft, who's a really, really good tight end. They also throw the ball to the backs, and then they have really, really talented backs led by Josh Jacobs. And they love throwing in the middle of the field, and that's been a little bit of Achilles heel for the Jaguars this season. We'll discuss that in the third and final segment here on Locked On Jaguars. Today's show is sponsored and brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Just in case you didn't hear me, I'll say it again. They are America's #1 sportsbook. And you can have fun over on FanDuel, man. And not only can you have fun, but all you got to do when you first get started is make a $5 wager. Whether you win or lose, you're guaranteed to get $200 in bonus bucks. Now, I'm not joking. $200 in bonus bucks, whether you win or lose when you make your first $5 wager on FanDuel. And unlike some other places on your wager page, you don't have to leave there to check stats, to check play-by-play, to see how certain players are doing, to see how much time you have left in the game. All you got to do is stay right there, man. You can win you a boatload of money. Even if your team isn't playing well, go the other way. Take the points. Do whatever you got to do, but make sure whatever you do, you go to FanDuel.com and have you some fun on the weekend. FanDuel is America's #1 sports book. Make sure you go over and have you a good time. All right, third and final get-together we'll have today on Hump Day here this Wednesday. Talking about safety concerns with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Some people may think I'm not talking about safeties on the field, and I'm talking about safety concerns, like their own safety. Like the Jags need to be concerned about their safety because Green Bay has a good defense and they're active and they got running backs and receivers. I tell you what, if this game starts Sunday and it's 21-0 at any point, you're gonna hear the boo birds. You're gonna see the stands getting empty. You're gonna hear people calling for Balky. You're going to hear people calling for Peterson. You may even see guys, getting a little testy with each other because that's the kind of thing that we've seen it. And then that's also the kind of things that bad teams do. I don't want to come here on a postcast Sunday and all I get to tell you is what those guys said at the podium afterwards and just repeating the thing. We're not a bad team. We're just a bad team. We're just not a good team. We know all of that stuff. And one of the areas that's been the biggest concern, it has been the safety position. Andre Cisco I'm big on Cisco. I like Cisco. He's a really, really good dude. And I believe in his ability. I just don't believe that he's played well this year. A buddy of mine, Sam, said it looked like he gained too much weight. It looked like he's too big, too muscular. I mean, he's in great shape. But yeah, Cisco's built like a strong safety, man. I guarantee you, I wonder if he's 210 pounds now. I know he's listed at like 203, 204. He is a big physical dude. And on a lot of the depth charts that they told us that didn't mean a whole bunch, he was listed at strong safety. And he had played free safety most of the time. And they had Darnell Savage listed at free safety. The year starts and Darnell Savage is mainly playing in the slot. And I don't know. I think Cisco's still lining up at free safety because if they do go single high, he's always back there. But he hasn't been the best. Antonio Johnson seems like he hasn't taken that next step. And you wonder if he has it in him to take a next step. Andrew Wingard, got hurt in preseason, in training camp, and has been out. His 21-day window opened back up, but that ain't going to help them Sunday. He ain't going to play Sunday. They went out and signed Tayshaun Gibson in the preseason to come in here, even though they knew he had a 6-game suspension. Well, it's going to go beyond 6 games because he hasn't been reinstated by the league yet. They're 2-5. That's 7 games. And the Jaguars are still waiting on the league and they haven't said anything. It kind of makes you wonder, like all of this time when, and fans were saying this in the preseason, bro. Like Justin Simmons is right out there. Why Denver let him go? Why didn't you go get him? And then Atlanta went and got him. I know he's banged up right now. And I don't even know how well he's played, but there was also the talk that, well, they signed Ronald Darby, and it doesn't seem like enough, man. Why don't they go get Stephon Gilmore? And Gilmore has gotten picks in games, in big games against Aaron Rodgers right on Monday night. He was out there. He was available. There was so much talk about all of these dudes that were out there, and the Jaguars went and signed an older safety in Tayshaun Gibson who had a 6-game suspension coming up. It just makes you scratch your head, and you just wonder why. Now, I'm not telling you that they didn't try to go out and get Simmons or whoever, or they didn't try to make a phone call. But what I am telling you is it didn't happen. It's like a couple of years ago when they had a chance to get Calais Campbell in here, and they didn't do that either. And for what I understand, he walked out thinking that they weren't serious, that they just brought him here for nothing because he wasn't going to play for what they offered him. Trent does that, and that's the thing that has been a little bit bothersome to me too. It's like he'll go out and spend way more money than he should on certain people, but then on the guys that he should, he nickels and dimes and he doesn't get them in free agency, and it's just bothersome to me. Calais Campbell's still making plays right now in Miami. He could have been here. How much better? And I might be phrasing this wrong. Is Eric Armstead better than what Calais Campbell is right now? And he cost way more money? It's just, to me, the safety position has struggled with that a little bit. And I just think it's like Trent's falling in love with his draft picks. He was here, they drafted Andre Cisco. He was here, they drafted Antonio Johnson. He falls in love with his draft picks too much. And Peter Bukowski did tell me this. I didn't know the Jaguars at some point, if one of those metrics were ranked 10th in the league defensively last year, and they fired the whole defensive staff. It just always seems like there's something going on, and the safety problem this year is big, and their ability to guard the middle of the field is problematic. And if there's a team that's going to exploit that as much as anybody else, well, they can't play themselves because the Jaguars are really like number one. Trevor's were number one at throwing the ball in the middle of the field, but I believe they're guys like top 3, top 4. Jordan Love. Jordan Love can spin it. Jordan Love is I think he's tied for the lead in touchdown passes, and he's only played 5 games. The Jaguars will have to get stellar play from Andre Cisco and the other safeties in the middle of the field, tackling as well as everything else, for this to be the game where they go on a run, and this does not be a game where everyone gets run off. That's just the way it goes, man. It's like every single week we're going to sit here and wait for the ball to drop unless this team can put a whole bunch of games together and go win them. And even with that, even if they put all of these games together like that and they win these games, at some point, you're going to want to, I think for the Jaguars, really, with the rest of the season, there's 11 games left. Is that right? No, they're 2 and 5. So no, there's 10 games left. They got to win at least 7. They got to win 7. They got if they get to 9 and 8, I still don't think so. They got to win 7 out of the next 10. 5 of those are reasonably. They'll probably be favored in 2 or 3 of them. They play the Titans twice. They have the Colts again on the road in Indy. The Jaguars might be favored in 2, maybe 3 games. So they got to win all of the games. When they got to win a lot of games, they're not going to be favored in. Today, it's going to have to be a start Sunday too, and if they do, it's going to have to be with help from those safeties. Make sure you tap into Locked On NFL, a double dose of NFL talk twice a day. Tyler Rowland early in the morning, the madman will wake you up, and then you come and see me at the barbershop, and we'll finish it off for you. Make sure you do that wherever you get your podcast, on the Locked On NFL page, wherever you listen or hear your podcast. All right, man, you guys take care of each other. Crossover with Peter Bukowski will be tomorrow. That's always fun. And then we'll have another show on Friday to get you ready for the game Sunday, followed by a postcast on Sunday. Make sure you tap in. Take care of each other. We'll see you next time here on Locked On Jaguars.